For assignment 1.3, I chose Bach's Prelude number 21. This is from his Well-Tempered Clavier. And before we get started, let's talk about chord grammar. So chord grammar can be found in the individual Roman analysis on the bottom of each of the measures. And basically, it's the nuts and bolts of the piece. Now, the melodic direction is determined by the end goal. That end goal is the one, which is also considered the end of the harmonic structure. Now, even though 1 is our end goal, the 5/7 is a strong temporary goal that leads us there, and the 2 is also a weaker temporary goal, but still leads us to the 5/7, which then leads us to the 1, the end of harmonic structure. Now, in measure 3 on B1, that's where we talked about the harmonic structure. Now, the entire musical phrase rests upon the structural chords. The structural chords can be found in graph A. They are 1, the tonic, 2, the predominant, 5, the dominant, and 1, the tonic. So if we look back up here, we see 1, 2, 5/7, and 1 on a downbeat of 3. Now, this is also considered to be a harmonic progression. The prolonging chords are those that are not part of the structural chords. In this example, all of the chords between the first tonic, which is here on the downbeat of 1, measure 1, and the first structural chord, which is here at the 2 on beat 3 of measure 2, are prolonging chords. Although they're not stepwise, the 6th chord in measure 1 and the 4 chord in measure 2 serve as non-stepwise passing chords to get to C minor 2 chord, which is a major 7th below the tonic. The 5/6 in measure 1, the 3/6 in measure 1, also on the and of 3. And let's see, the 1/6 are all considered to be neighbor chords because they're neighboring the B here, the G is neighbored, and then the D neighbors the E. Now, the remaining chords are considered embellishing chords. Contrapuntal are the result of getting from one structural chord to another structural chord. All of the chords that are not 1, 2, 5, or 1 are considered to be prolongation. Prolongation of motion in a single chord more has to do with expanding the chord and prolonging it than getting it from one chord to another. The Bach Prelude is an example of the former. However, a modulation does not occur in this particular example, so I didn't find the need to discuss it. Now, Salzer discusses the 2, the 3, and the 4 chords as intermediate chords between the tonic and dominant progression. In the case of the prelude, the 2 chord is the intermediate chord, as is the intermediary station between the tonic to the dominant harmonic movement. Earlier in this analysis, we discussed how Salzer uses passing to describe motion by thirds, as well as by steps. See the 6th chord in measure 1 and the 4 chord in measure 2. Now, also we determined the 5/6 chord right here, and the 3/6 were considered to be neighboring tones. And the 1/6 was also, 1/6 here on measure 2 was also considered a neighboring tone because of this bass motion.